Hello students, today we continue our lecture on JSP. In previous lectures, we have seen many topics based on JSP. First, we have seen that what is JSP, then life cycle of JSP, advantages of JSP over servlet, architecture of JSP, and the last we have seen the different scripting elements of JSP. Now we will see the difference between servlet and JSP, and then we will move to the important example of JSP. First, let us see what are the differences between servlet and JSP. So, let us see one by one. The first one is servlet is a Java code, whereas JSP is a HTML based code. As we have seen that servlet is written in a Java code, right? We are writing different classes, different methods, etc. Whereas in JSP, we are writing the HTML code and we are inserting the different Java code inside the HTML code. The second difference is that writing code for servlet is harder than the JSP as it is HTML in Java. So, it is obvious that we are writing the code in Java, right? So, it is but obvious than HTML code. But in JSP, we are writing the code same as HTML. So, it is much easier than servlet. Servlet plays a controller role in MVC approach. When we are considering the MVC architecture, which is model view controller, the servlet is working as a controller part, where JSP is working as a view part. Servlet is faster than JSP, where JSP is slower than servlet. That is because servlet is directly compiled and executed, but JSP is first converted into servlet, then it is compiled and executed. Servlet can accept all protocol requests. JSP only accept HTTP request. It is the main difference. Servlet can accept different kinds of requests, whereas JSP accept only HTTP type request. In servlet, we can override the service method. In JSP, we cannot override its service method. We have seen that in servlet class, we are overriding the method which is service method. But in JSP, we are not overriding the JSP service method, but it is called while we initialize the request. In servlet, we have to implement everything like business logic and presentation logic in just one servlet file. But in JSP file, the business logic is separated from presentation logic. This thing we have seen in the first slide, that in JSP we are keeping both different business logic and presentation logic. We are making different files for both of them. Modification in servlet is time consuming task because it includes reloading, recompiling and restarting the server. But in JSP it is much easier than servlet because we need not to recompile or re-execute. Now let us see the important example of JSP in which we will use the database connectivity. For that, first we will create the login.jsp file in the web page. For this, we have to create first web application. After the creating web application, we create one JSP file naming login.jsp. We can see the structure of login.jsp file which is same as HTML file, right? Starting from HTML tag, then head, then title, then end of head, then body tag, and in that we are using the form tag. In form tag as an action, we are using login success.jsp. It means that whenever we are submitting this form, this file will be redirected to login success.jsp file, and the method we are using, that is post. Here we are taking two text boxes. First is username and the next is password. So, in this first file, login.jsp file, we are creating one form which have two text field. One is in name and the second is password, and we have the button submit. Whenever we are clicking on the submit button, these two data are transferred to the page login success page. Now let us see what we are doing at the login success page. Now moving to the login success page, here we can see that first we have started with the HTML tag, then head, title and body. Now let us see what we have written in the body tag. First we are importing the java.sql. Here @page, which is the page directive, which we have seen in the directive tag of scripting elements of JSP, which is the directive tag which we have used here for importing one package. Java.sql is one of the package which is used for JDBC. Right. Now let us move that how we are implementing this JDBC. First we are taking the data which are coming from the login.jsp. First we should see string uname equal to request.getParameter uname. This means that we are getting the data from the text field which is naming uname. So that data will be transferred into the variable uname. The same thing we are doing for password. The password will be stored in the string variable pass. So both the data we are having in two variables, uname and pass. Then we are initialize the temporary parameters that are uname1 and pass1. Now we will move forward for JDBC. For JDBC, three statements are mainly required. The first is class.forName com.mysql.jdbc.driver. This statement is used for registering the driver. Then the second statement is for establishing the connection, which is written as connection con equal to driver manager dot get connection. In the bracket we are writing the string for database and the ID and password. And the third statement is creating the statement object by using which we will execute our query. We will create the object of statement as statement st equal to con.create statement. Then after we will create the result set object for storing the data which will retrieve from the query. Result set rs equal to st.execute query select star from login where id equal to uname and password equal to pass. Right. So by this query we will retrieve the ID and password which will be matched with our login data. If we will retrieve particular ID and password, then we can log in successfully. If both are not matched, then we cannot log in properly. Now we will get the data using while loop. Executing while loop in the bracket rs.next means we are getting the data from the result set object rs until the end of the row. So after the getting this data, we are comparing the data with the existing data which we have fetched from the previous page. This database connectivity is written in try catch block. Right. Now after this try catch block we are comparing the data uname dot equals uname and then pass dot equal password. Here uname and pass are the data which we are getting from the previous page, and uname1 and pass1 are the data which we are getting from the database. If both are equal, then the message will be printed welcome to our site. If both are not equal, then we are getting the message incorrect username or password, login again. Right. So let us see the output of this code. So firstly we can see the table name. Right. The table name we have seen in previous slide, that is the login table, and database is the name here, that is user. So here we have the table. There are two columns, ID and pass, and there are 4 entries for ID and password. So let us see, whenever you are execute this login.jsp file, you will get the first input asking for username and password. For example, here I am entering username and password and clicking on submit button, then I will redirect to next page, which is login success.jsp, and the output will be, well, Sujata, welcome to our site. So this is the basic example of JSP page in which we have used the database connectivity. Further, I will remind that we have used here different scripting elements. First, we will focus on the percentage at the rate, which is the directive tag, and then we have used the angular bracket percentage, which is scriptlet tag. We have used two different tags over here. So by using the different scripting elements, we can design our JSP page. So we have seen here different elements of JSP and implementation of that JSP tags into the JSP designing page. So now we can design our different JSP page. Further, we can also differentiate the JSP and servlet by coding. So we are ending our lecture on JSP. I suggest you to implement different JSP examples based on the database connectivity. This will help you to design the web technology using Java technology. Thank you.